All right, good evening, 100-Fold Journey. This is Doug speaking, and tonight is our Wednesday night live. The 100-Fold is a group of people that are looking to find their true identity, and by doing so, finding God's true identity. So we're here to introduce the leadership team. There are 6 of us in total, and if you'll remember, I went a couple of weeks ago, Katie went last week, and it's Rashi's turn, and she adds a unique element to the team. And I wanted to ask her to speak tonight and speak about her journey and how she got here, how she got to the 100-Fold. So with that said, we'll turn the mic over to Rashi and she can introduce herself and talk about her journey. I'd like to ask that if there's some questions, maybe save it for the end. This will go about 30 minutes. And also to let you know, we are recording this so that others can listen to it in the future. So with that said, Rashi, the mic's all yours.
Excellent. Hi, good evening, everybody. So like Doug said, my name is Rashi, and I am part of the leadership team of the 100-Fold Journey. Very, very grateful to be a part of it. So I just wanted to share a little bit about my journey and how I arrived to this point. So I grew up in India. I was born there, and up until the age of 9, I was brought up there, and at the age of 9 is when I moved to the United States. And so growing up in India, it's very different than being brought up here, and I'm very grateful that I got to see both sides of the worlds, or different worlds. I got to experience them. And so growing up in India, I was the only girl in my family. I have one sibling, which is my brother. And I was brought up in a private school environment and primarily spoke English. So I was fortunate enough to know English before I came here, which helped a lot. And I was part of a group that was primarily open to religion. I never was exposed to religion very, very often. The little bit of exposure that I did have to the religion I was born into, which was Hinduism, the little bit of exposure that I had into the Hinduism was through my grandparents. And good evening, Cindy. Thank you for joining. So growing up, my grandparents, my grandmother specifically, my maternal grandmother, was the main influence of religion in my family, and to myself, actually. So, she would be up early in the morning, she would go to the temple, and just the little memories that I have of going to the temple with her were just, the walk, and just how peaceful it was, and the environment at the temple, just the early morning crisp air, the flowers, and just the smells and the aroma, and just the peaceful scent of morning. And I loved going to the temple with her. And then as I grew older, I came across other people, and I came across other family members that were very religious. And one day in particular, I have a little bit of a story. So I was attending a funeral of a family member, and I was very young at the time, maybe 7 or 8 years old. And I had other family members that, of course, were visiting from other places, and were coming in for the funeral. And it was actually my grandfather's funeral. So we had other family members, and just these very pious, very religious people, very godly. But I saw a very different side to them that day. And I just vividly remember that, just a very, very cold side, almost like, they were sad, but then they weren't. And just kind of cunning. And I kind of like turned away for that reason. I said, these are the family members that I kind of looked up to. My grandmother's actually wasn't there, but, she was one person I looked up to, but the other family members that I looked up to as well were kind of veering me away, and kind of not making me have faith in the religion that they had faith in. And so for that reason, I just kind of had that in my heart. And when I came to this country at the age of 9, I saw a different world, and I totally admired it. I loved the environment here. I loved how open it was. And so, so like going back to my parents a little bit. So my parents were primarily the reason why like I am who I am today. And um, my mother, again, so my grandmother was religious and she influenced me a little bit. And my dad on the other side is an engineer. He's a very scientific kind of person, very practical. Um, believed in science more than religion, but always believed in God, always had faith in a God, in one source energy, a collective consciousness. And so I kind of like followed his path into religion or into my faith with God. And so once I was here, I was more closer to him. And my parents actually divorced when I was 12 years old. And so I decided to stay with my dad and, just kind of built that relationship with him and was much closer to him. So I kind of followed his footsteps as far as how he believed in God and how how faithful he was. He never really attended any kind of religious institution or place of worship. He always just had faith and, um, he never really did any rituals or never did anything that other people were doing. So I just kind of found that intriguing, and I liked his way of thinking. And there was always one thing that my dad says, and he still says it. He always said it. He says it now, and he says, "God, you are, and you always will be." And I always really liked that because I just always heard that, and I didn't really kind of like analyze it until I got a lot older, and I really liked that statement. So then, yeah, so just growing up, I at some points I was like, I always had this like an internal monologue with myself, like, what is God and how do I feel about it? Is there someone there? Um, and so at one point I almost became atheist, but then I always had a spiritual sense. I always felt like there was a spirit around me, someone always there protecting me, listening to me. And so I turned from atheism to agnosticism, which is, just believing in God and having faith in a higher power and not necessarily following any particular religion or faith. Um, and so fast forward to, I got married at the age of 25, and I became a mother fairly shortly after that. And through becoming a mother, actually, I met a lot of people, including one of my best friends, well, my best friend, Katie, who's part of the leadership team of 100fold as well. I met Katie through a mom's group, and just instantly just had a connection with her. I just knew I walked into she had hosted a play date at her home, and walking into her home, I just instantly knew that she was going to be my best friend, that we were going to be best friends. And lo and behold, and here we are, and we're best friends a few years later. But back in February of this year, Katie joined a Bible group, Doug's Bible group. And so I initially was very intrigued by that, and I like really admired her for doing that, because she said for a while like she really wanted to know about the Bible and she wanted to learn about it. And just seeing her go through that experience and through that process, I saw a very very immense sense of peace within her, around her, a sense of calmness, just a sense of maturity as well. I mean, not to say that she's immature, but like I just saw her kind of blossom into this really beautiful person. And I really I just was very attracted to that. And I said, hey, like I think I want to be a part of whatever you're doing, and I want to share that with you. And so so then got into just learning about the Bible. And at that time we were talking about the tabernacle and how that relates to just how our body is, and how our body is our temple and it's a dwelling place of God. And that just intrigued me, and that just got me into the subject of just learning about God and learning about the Bible. And I just felt like what I really loved about this form of discussion, form of group, and just the Bible in general, is the relationship with God. And I like that we are building a relationship, and it's not just a one-way thing, or it's not just we're not one way from us. We're constantly not begging. We're also not just receiving authoritative rules and regulations or having to follow certain things. It's a very open connection. It's a collective connection. I really admire that. And I'm very grateful that I got to be a part of that. And so from there on, and then again, through that group, I met Doug, and Doug has been a fantastic leader, a fantastic mentor, just someone I really look up to, someone I admire. His words resonate with me each and every day. And so I really admire Doug, and I'm very grateful that I got to meet him. And so through Doug, I was able to be a part of this leadership team, and I'm very grateful that he saw that I could contribute certain aspects to this group and be a part of it. And my main role, or essentially my main position in this leadership team, is to bring this perspective of unity and harmony within our group, within our essentially what we talk about and how we view Christianity to be about love and be about Jesus, and how to essentially reach out to other groups and teach them about harmony and teach them about love. And so I wanted to bring in my perspective of being from a different background, different cultural background, different religious background, and having that knowledge and having that experience and bringing it to the table here and showing that essentially the message all around is the same, and that it is of love and harmony and unity, and that we're all one. Essentially, it's a collective consciousness, and a relationship with God, whether we believe in Jesus or whether we believe in just another higher source of power, whatever we may call it. It is a one source energy. It is a collective source, and we all can tap into it and find the love that we've been looking for all along. Yeah, essentially, I think that's my story. Do we have any questions?
Oh, that's great, Rashi. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, let's open it up for any questions out there. But before we have any questions, I'd like to ask you just one is, how would you define 100-fold journey? What is your definition of that?
My definition of 100-fold is a collective group, just a place of gathering, place of dwelling, just a collective effort that is trying to bring healing, trying to bring awareness, mindfulness, love, harmony, unity to other people, and just kind of creating a place that people will feel comfortable enough to express themselves and be able to go on this path together, on a journey, and a spiritual journey, and find ourselves through God, through our relationship with God, and build that relationship with confidence and with the support of each other.
No, that's terrific. And the reason for the 6 different leadership roles is each one has a specific role to come alongside somebody that might be have questions about other religions, and they would come alongside you and you would say, well, here's my path. Or Rich, who is on the line, talking about the neurochemicals and the rewiring of the brain, and there'll be certain people that will come alongside him. So each one has their own unique value that they bring to 100-fold. So I appreciate that about you. And yeah, so that's the whole idea, is come alongside people and be on this journey together and support one another. Yeah, very good. Who else on the line would like to ask Rashi a question?
Hi, Rashi. Your best friend sounds amazing. You did amazing. I just want to know, as you were learning about the Bible, did you find any similarities to anything you were brought up with versus what you learned in the Bible?
Yes, definitely. Just again, like we were talking about the tabernacle and how our body is essentially a temple, a dwelling place for God. And that is one similarity that I found with what I've learned through my background, through my religious background, to really take care of the body, to also take care of the mind and have this coherence, essentially. I know that Rich is going to go further and talk about that, but this coherence between the mind and the heart is what I found very intriguing in the Bible, and what I found to be a similarity or at least in Hinduism, because Hinduism is very much a spiritual, it's very much a spiritual way of life. It's not necessarily a religion, but it's a spiritual way of life. And it talks a lot about, again, like the body being the temple and taking care of the mind, and really through meditation and through other practices, using other healing elements, other healing tools, you can build that coherence between the mind and the heart, and really just become more spiritually aware and more mindful of everything, essentially the way that we live life and our daily contributions to life.
Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else?
Rashi?
Hi, Joe. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Great.
I wanted to see, what ingredients did you find most helpful in your experience in becoming who you are? What bits and pieces of the religions, the faiths you're learning brought you to who you are and where you are?
Specifically, I think just my interactions with certain people, and just kind of seeing how different people perceive different things and different concepts. For example, a little bit going back into my story. So when I grew up in India, I learned of a lot of or experienced a lot of misogyny, essentially a lot of gender bias against myself, because I'm a girl child. I was a girl, and I noticed a lot of people would treat me differently because I was a girl, or expect differently from me because I was a girl. And then even going into places of worship, there was a lot of segregation, between the men and the women. The men would sit separately, the women, and it never sat with me well. And this division, just this and I think it's more of a cultural pollution. It's more of a societal pollution. It's more of the people who are misinterpreting and misconstruing, the religion, and kind of like giving it a different angle. So just seeing that growing up, I didn't like that. And then being able to come here to this country and seeing that everybody's equal, everybody's able to express themselves the way that they want, me being treated fairly for who I was, because even if I was a girl, I was treated well here. Everybody gave me a fair chance, and I was able to voice myself, essentially, which I wasn't able to do before. And so now seeing that it's not necessarily about that. That is not the whole truth. Now I'm realizing that as I grew up, and I realize it's more dependent on the person who I experienced this with, or who I interacted with, and the people that I interacted with. And it was just these particular people that were giving it this particular perception, or this way that this religion is this way, or this society is this way. But then having to come into this group and having to see that I can contribute and be a part of this, and my opinions are valid, and what we believe in together, everything spiritually connects, and just being able to understand that, and being able to voice what I feel, and being able to know that that's valid. These are the little things. I mean, they really stuck with me, and I'm really glad that I'm able to change my perception and change the way that I see them now. not necessarily as like the whole group is bad, or like all of these religious people are bad. I'm choosing to see it as, okay, you know, it was just this particular situation. It was maybe just this particular person or these particular groups of people that were this way, but it's not collective as a whole, because as a collective, we just want peace. We want harmony. You know, we want love. We want everything just to be fair and happy, essentially. I hope that made sense. I'm sorry if I just rambled on. I apologize.
No, that was perfect.
So Rashi, tell me, with all that, where are you going? Where does this path lead?
This path leads me to dig deeper into essentially what I knew and applying it to how I want to lead my life from now on, and what tools and elements I want to utilize to gain more spiritual awareness and more spiritual mindfulness, and then be able to light the path for others. You know, I essentially that is my ultimate purpose in life. I know I'm here to help other people in whatever shape or way or form it may be, whether it's monetarily, whether it's just with my time or with my words, or through my work, through if I'm creating something creative, or if I'm just creating a blog with a few words. I know it will impact somebody, and I'm very grateful to be able to have the opportunity to do that. So I'm hoping to utilize, again, with just on my path, continue to gain the more spiritual awareness, more mindfulness, and use, you know, the tools that we have. Even just within our group, we have some great people. We have Marissa, who is going to talk about journaling. And I think that is so essential. And although I used to love to do that, I don't think I'm in the habit of doing that anymore, but I would love to get back into that habit. And I'm very grateful that I can have her as an inspiration and as a teacher. And then we have Katie, who's fantastic, who's a yoga and meditation teacher. You know, she'll be talking more about meditation, and I am so grateful that I will learn from her. And then we have Rich with the neuroscience, and again, the heart and mind coherence. And again, so all of these tools, and then with Doug and Doug's words, everybody is just so fantastic and uniquely gifted. And then again with you, Joe, just your overall positivity and the way that you give off your energy, and you heal people, and you know, just our team overall. I'm just grateful to be part of it, and just utilize all of these tools to just be a better person, just be a good human, and just light the path for others and help others find their way, just the way that we all have, essentially.
So Rashi, how do you define a better person? What's that mean?
A person without judgment, person without fear, person without, because I mean, I'm still human at the end of the day. And I know there's a concept that Doug has talked about, and taught us, is, you know, it's in the Bible as well, just, you know, kind of living from the flesh and living from the spirit. Essentially, you have to figure out what you're doing. And that concept has really resonated well with me. I constantly think of that. I constantly try to stay mindful of that. And I think just being a better person is just someone who's more mindful of what we're saying, and what we're putting into our bodies, what we're thinking, what we're choosing to take in and absorb, essentially. So I'd like to be better at that. I'm not saying I have achieved that all the way yet. I am getting better at it each day and being more mindful each day. But I would definitely like to reach a level where I can be in a situation where maybe my reaction is expected to be a certain way, or I'm expected to be upset, but I want to react in a very peaceful manner and perceive it to be peaceful. Any situation, essentially.
Magnificent. Thank you, Rashi.
You're welcome. Thank you, Joe. Great question.
Keep working on the energy. It's magnificent.
Okay. Thank you.
That's everything I'm hearing you tell me. Basically says you want to be you, and you want to be your true energy source the entire time. Perfect. There's nothing you do better in this world, I promise.
Thank you.
All right,
Hey,
we have a couple more minutes, so yeah, who else?
I had a question. So you said that you started because you saw my inner peace change, and I was wondering what tools that you learned to help you with your day-to-day, because I know you're a mom and that's really hard. And so I want to know what you've learned to help with your every day-to-day requirements from your family.
Okay, well, being your best friend really helps.
Amazing.
Um, again, just day to day, I think surrounding myself with the right people, surrounding myself with the right mindset, starting each day with a grateful heart, essentially gratitude has helped a lot. We've done the 21 days of gratitude. That has immensely helped. Where I feel that whether I am doing those actual exercises or whether I'm just thinking of each day in that perspective or like per subjective perspective, like for example, gratitude for our loved ones, gratitude for the money that we have. It's a very useful tool that I think that's really helped me. I wake up every day with gratitude. I make sure that I'm thankful for something, and I go to bed with gratitude as well. That helps a lot. It helps put a lot of things in perspective, especially when as a mother, I get wrapped up in a lot of my expectations, my daily expectations from others, especially my husband, my children. There are a lot of different roles that I'm playing, and just to make sure that I fulfill each role, and just to make sure everybody's, if not happy, at least taken care of, like everything is going to be okay. So just again, so gratitude, consistency. I need consistency, so I definitely try to stay grateful every day. Other tools, Katie, you've taught me meditation. We've done meditation together. I think that's helped immensely. We pray together. We homeschool our boys. Katie and I homeschool our children. I have two boys. Katie has one son, and we homeschool the boys together. And we're so grateful that we've learned a few things, well, many things from our group, even Bible study and our 100-fold. And we actually try to implement those things into our homeschool, which has helped a lot. And I've seen a change in my own kids. Like I just see them, it could be as simple as them just holding the door for each other. But it's the sweetest thing because they care, they show that they care. And so, there'll be days when we'll pray each day. There'll be days when we go through things they're grateful for. And we'll play the alphabet game. We'll go through the ABCs of gratitude, and they love that kind of stuff. And it just, whether or not Katie and I sometimes feel like, is it really working? Because they're constantly still fighting with each other and whatnot. Then there are those days where they show that to us, and that makes us think, okay, these tools, if they're helping us, and we're teaching these kids the same thing, then this will take them a long way. So these are just a few things.
That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie.
Hey, Rashi, I want to ask you something, and I want you to do this reflexively. Don't give it a lot of thought, because I want to feel how you feel when you react to this.
Okay.
What 5 things did you see so clearly in Katie that made her very evidently and obviously right up front be such a perfect best friend for you? What did you see?
She's very nurturing. I love that she's very nurturing. She's very caring, loving. She's a fantastic mother. I think initially also the one thing that really, that I absolutely just loved about her was her charisma, and just the way that she was with the kids, with all the children. She just, she's just herself. And I really was drawn into that, because right before that I was in a very different place, because I had 2 children back to back. My boys are a year apart, and I went through some tough time with like postpartum depression and things like that, and just being overwhelmed with being a new mother and having 2 under my wing and no help. So I was going through that, and I clearly remember there was a time when I was, very, very low. And I just remember begging God, and I said, I had a conversation with God, and I said, God, please just bring somebody in my life that, I can just talk to, and I can just be there for, and they can be there for me. And like, I just, I constantly just wished for that. And it's just funny how Katie and I just came across each other, and I just instantly knew. I don't think she knew, but I instantly knew that she was my friend. Like I'd known her before, I'd known her forever. And even now, like, I mean, we've been friends for little less than 5 years. And I mean, we feel like we've known each other forever. So, and it's really amazing to be able to be a part of this group too, because just, you know, attracting this energy, this intellect, this knowledge, this source of knowledge and source of power, like it's been fantastic. I mean, everybody in this group has just been phenomenal in contributing to how much I've learned in just this short time. So it's been really great. I'm very grateful.
Great work. Thank you, Rashi. You're wonderful.
Thank you, Joe.
All right, it's a little after 7. We have time for one more question, or we'll just open it up for one quick question. If not, we'll close out here. All right, so Rashi, thank you so much for sharing your story, your journey, your insights, and you do provide a unique perspective that only you have, and that you can now share that with other people, and that's what 100-Fold is all about, is joining with other people and helping them along their way. So really appreciate your time. So for those that are on, we are recording this, and so please share this with friends if you'd like. Ask them to join the 100-Fold Journey. We'd love to, again, partner with others. So thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll be seeing you online.
Great work, Rashi.
Nice work, Rashi.
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
And bye for now.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.